Good morning, everyone. This is Chad here with the Conscientious Crusader. And what I'm doing this morning is a review of the solid fuel cook stove I got and why I went with it, and some of the modifications that I also had to do with it. Pretty simple. Things about, 4 inches by 5 inches, etc. Weighs practically nothing. It's very simple. You pull the stove open, tilt it up, and that forms the legs. Now inside, I've placed 4 nails, and of course you have your solid hexamine tablets, or your solid fuel sticks that go with it. I'll show you what the nails are for in a second. One of the reasons I went with this stove is because I was looking at an MSR with a pocket rocket and a fuel canister, and the size and the weight. And as you know, my ruck across Washington for Jeremy is 300 miles, but it's pretty much along the interstate. I'm not going to be doing a lot of off-road, out in the woods camping, except for a short stint there in the Snoqualmie National Forest outside of Easton. So by my map, I'm looking at only about 5, maybe 6 nights where I won't be in a populated location. So I decided to go with this, just super small, super light. I can heat up some coffee, something like that. If it get cold, heat up the tent. Warm your fingers. So this tin, when I first looked at it, cost about $6 at the Army surplus store with the hexamine tablets or the solid fuel. And this is the one that comes with it. And I got it home and I started playing with it, and I immediately became disenchanted because what I noticed is my cups that I tend to carry don't fit. That's the small one I keep on my motorcycle. This is the big one I keep in the boat. And as you can see, it's pretty large. Well, this won't sit on the burner. It would collapse it with that kind of weight and that much water. These were designed for Army 1-quart canteen cups, which are very long and oval. Well, the suggestion was you just tilt it in like this, and then, of course, you can set a smaller cup on it. Well, the problem is, I tried bending it, the thing's flexible, and what would happen is it collapses or it sits unevenly. That started driving me crazy. And I went out in the garage, I sat there, I looked, and I tried bending these in to get it to stop, but the problem is they don't stop evenly, and I'm afraid I also might rip the pivots, the little rivets that are on the inside. So I came up with the ingenious idea of nails. Just some kind of a pin or something that I can stick through the center. And then what I did, it worked perfectly. I have 1 or 2, I have 4 nails, but I can place 1 or 2 in each slot. They're exactly the same size. And once they're through, it allows me to adjust. I can put the tin like this. Now, when I set a cup on top, it's solid. The other is I've got a couple of nails packed in there in my rucking case. I need them somewhere, and this is obviously solid enough. And again, this cup holds about 500 milliliters of water. And as you can see, that holds it just fine. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to actually fire up a chunk of this. I'm going to take about a 1-inch square, approximately that, and we're going to light it. And we're going to see how long it burns, and we're going to see how long it takes to boil a cup of water. I'll be right back. Now, we're on board the galley here in my boat, so I'm just going to remove the stove cover. And we're going to set our stove right here. I'm going to place 1 heating tab in there. About 1 inch by 1 inch. And I'll use a striker. Aha. Now, once the tab is lit, let's go with the smaller cup. And and we'll see how long this takes. Okay, I adjusted the camera. We've been burning about 1 minute. Very little smoke, very little odor, and the water is already very warm to the touch. I've also, the tablet has become completely engulfed and it became warm and it stopped smoking. And as you can see, that whole entire area underneath has become a cushion of flame, and the water, I don't know if you can see it yet, is already beginning to steam. It's only been 2 minutes. And the water temperature has increased significantly. There is still about 70% of that tablet left, if you can see that triangle underneath. Quite a bit of residual heat coming off around it too. Oh, that water is hot enough to make a cup of coffee, instant or tea, at this point. And I still have, if you look underneath, there's still a significant amount. I'd say there's still 60%, perhaps more, of that hexamine tablet is still burning underneath. And I'm going about 4 minutes, a little over 4.5 minutes. Okay, that water's actually hot. Obviously the bottom of it was warmer than the top. Okay, that's pretty warm, but it seems to be handleable. As you can see, there's still quite a bit of the tablet left. And let's put twice as much water on top of it. Now I'll further this experiment. I want to see how long this hexamine tablet is going to burn. So at 5 minutes, we're still at 50% of the tablet. So I'm guessing a 1 inch by 1 inch square will give you about 10 minutes of fairly solid flame. And while this isn't putting out the kind of heat of, say, a rocket or a butane or a propane-filled burner, for, I'm not living in the woods. It's not winter time. This thing is, I'm tickled pink with it. I could see at a later date taking these rivets that you see here and replacing them with a stainless steel, maybe a small machine, screw and washer, just to really make them last. I'm sure this thing would hold up just fine with the rivets. It's not like it gets a lot of heavy-duty use. What's funny is the bottom of the stove, I don't see, there's not much heat coming out of the bottom. I can feel that, but I could see, I wouldn't set it on a tin or anything made out of cloth, but underneath this stove, there just is not that much heat. So it looks like most of it's focused up by the funnel onto your cooking utensil. And that water was ice cold. It came out of the boat's water tank. And it's about 40 degrees outside, and it's already tepid. All right, I'll turn this off and we'll keep timing it. Okay, now you can't see it, but my hexamine tablet, once it gets a little over 50% of the heat, the core size of the tablet begins to shrink. It begins to burn even faster. So I added another tablet. So you can only get, looks like about 8 minutes out of a 1 inch sized tablet. And then of course this is the primary cup. This is my cook pot and my cup. So it appears there just began to steam. I don't know if you can see that. All right, so hexamine